This video is a review of the Doogee S98 Pro, and I want to start by saying this was not sent to me free. I actually bought this myself and I've been using it for 6 weeks. It's a proper review. So the previous phone was the very reliable Blackview BV9900 Pro, and the main reason I chose this was because it has the thermal imaging camera, and it's been a great phone. I'd still be using this phone if this one hadn't come along. However, this absolute monster of a phone is my new daily driver. It's a very solid, very heavy phone, and it's got some interesting features that make it like the flagship for engineers. It's not going to appeal to fashionistas because it is a big, chunky, heavy phone, but to technical people who have a need for its special functions, they'll appreciate it a lot. So let's start with the cameras in the back, which are the main special functions here. You've got 3 cameras. You think, oh, big deal. You know, every phone's got lots of cameras, except that every single one of these cameras has a completely different function. This one is a traditional 48 megapixel color camera with a white LED flash. The one on this side is a 20 megapixel infrared camera. It's a shortwave infrared camera, which is suitable for night vision, and it has 2 infrared LEDs. And then in the middle is the king of them all. It's an Infiray 256 by 192 pixel thermal imaging camera, and the images this thing produces are superb. Let me just demonstrate that by bringing in the first exhibit, a photo I took out just outside, and let me just zoom this a bit. These are overhead lines. You can clearly see the overhead lines against the sky. And if you look along the lines, see that little bright dot there? That's a joint in the lines that has got a very tiny bit of resistance, and it's heating up. And that is visible from down the street. This camera basically shows an image that represents heat, and it also indicates the temperature of items. Its temperature range is from minus 15 degrees Celsius to 550 degrees Celsius, so it covers a huge range. And if you find that appealing, but you don't have a desire to change from your preferred brand of phone, keep in mind that you can get the Infiray cameras for about £200 that plug into either Apple or Android, and will give you that same 256 by 192 resolution with a really fast update frame rate of something like 25 frames a second. This one is the upmarket version. It's a little clip-on front that gives you macro facility for getting up close to items, but to be honest, I don't know if it's fully needed because the resolution of these things is so high that you don't need to get too close. The other camera is, of course, the selfie camera. It's a 16 megapixel camera. The screen is 1080p by 2340. Now, what is the size of the screen? I can't really remember that. 6.3 inch. And the resolution is high enough that I can't see the pixels unless you get right up close to the magnifying glass, which is very good. It's bright enough for general use. It's not going to be great, as most phones, for viewing in direct sunlight, but I've not had any problems so far. It is drop proof and water resistant. What that means, it comes with a couple of problems. Now, it comes with this clip-on cover as standard, and it really just goes around the corners for giving it a bit of extra impact resistance. It's also got these rubbery plastic bits. The first thing I did was get one of these cases. It does mean it's going to be so much bigger, but ultimately I just prefer having this case because with the sort of dryish skin associated with work, it's a very slippery anodized aluminium case, so you'll probably want one of the condom cases. I got this one from an eBay seller. It took a while to come through, but it is an essential extra. One thing that's a slight downside to this is that these bits here actually cover the flash, infrared, and the illuminated flash. I might just cut them off if they ever pose a problem. However, there is one other slight problem with that. Here's a flash taken at night to show the infrared vision, which is very good. But also, if you take a photo with the standard color camera, the flash actually bled in a bit from the side. Maybe it's just my phone, It's not something that bothers me too much. It only happens in pitch black. But I took the cover off, thinking it might be that was causing it, and it didn't help. That was taking the cover off. So just be aware that you're not getting Apple or Samsung here, but you're still getting a very, very good phone. Certainly it's a fraction of the price of Samsung or Apple. And theirs don't have thermal imaging. So screw you, Apple and Samsung. Maybe one day they will. I mean, it's such an amazing feature that I could see the big flagships eventually adding it. The drop-proof and water resistance does add to the weight. This thing is heavy. It's 356 grams or 12 ounces, but that's also because it's got a big, fat 6,000 milliamp hour battery in it. The speaker, I think I mentioned, no, I didn't mention that already. The speaker built in is waterproof, as it would have to be with a phone like this. But the downside of making things waterproof is that the volume isn't going to be super mega. It's okay, it's fine for watching videos and stuff like that, but it's not what I'd call a loud phone. I've had louder phones, but it's fine. It's still perfectly acceptable. It comes with the usual Gorilla Glass front, but also a pre-applied plastic protector and a spare plastic protector. The 6,000 milliamp hour battery can be charged either via the USB port, which is one of the annoying bits, or inductive charging. The inductive charging, it also has NFC on the back as well, so you can basically you can use this with Google Pay and stuff like that. However, if you want to charge it, this little flap, it's the same with all other phones. If anything, this one's not too bad. However, it's not huge, in the sense that if I bring in, I had to choose a charging lead, this Wiley Fox charging lead. I had to look for one that was small enough. They do ship it with a lead, but I had to look for one that was small enough that to actually fit it in. You have to have this flap in a specific position. Once you get used to it, it's fine, but initially, quite frustrating. Battery life, it's currently 81%, is stellar. Really no complaints about the battery life. You can fast charge it, but I prefer to slow charge at 5 volts because I just prefer that. It means the battery is going to be less stressed out with that. You know, if you get these phones that, you know, can smash charge into them, what they don't say is that the life expectancy of the battery is going to be nowhere near if you just charge at regular speed. So just get used to topping it up every so often. In the case of this one, every few days I'll remember and I'll give it a top up. Other things worth mentioning. The processor is a MediaTek Helio 96 octa-core. It's running Android 12, and it's got a Mali G57 MC2 graphics processor. It's apparently suitable for games. I can't tell you how good it is for games because I don't play games other than cards. It's got 8 gig of RAM, which is very good, and 256 gigabyte of storage, which is even better. And it's worth mentioning the little SIM drawer on the side. Oh, talking of things on the side, it's got a push-to-talk button. It is, keep in mind, it is a technical phone. It's designed for engineers, so it's got the walkie-talkie function, but you can assign that button to other features, but it is primarily designed push-to-talk when you're using it as a walkie-talkie. It's got the volume up, volume down, it's got the power button, and it's got the fingerprint reader on the side. I don't use the fingerprint reader because if you work with the harsh materials, you end up rubbing your fingerprints off. They change all the time. I've never had joy with those, so I've never even used this one. The SIM drawer is unusual because it's so long, because it takes, this is a dual SIM phone, which is handy. You can have a work and a personal SIM in the one phone, or in my case, I have a UK SIM and an Isle of Man SIM, just because it's kind of like each has its own advantages. And with many fashion phones, they say takes 2 SIMs and an SD card. But what they don't say is that you get some phones that take 1 SIM and either another SIM or an SD card. But in this case, when you pull this out, it's very long and it takes the full 2 SIMs and an SD card. It doesn't compromise. It gives you all 3 of them, which is very good. It works on 2G, 3G and 4G, but not 5G. That's not a huge issue yet because the 5G system is still being installed. And to be honest, the early adopters of the 5G system are all complaining that they don't get good coverage. That's because you got in right at the beginning. Once the system has been established, you'll get much better service. And it's worth mentioning that this will work just about anywhere in the world except on a couple of networks in America, maybe more, I'm not really sure. AT&T, I believe, and Verizon may have issues. They're the odd ones out. They're the ones that are the problem, because they, phones like this will just work just about everywhere, but just not in those networks for some reason. You should be aware of this. The SD card can accommodate up to 512 gigabytes, so you can add that to the 256 gig there already, and you're most of the way to a terabyte, to be honest. That's ridiculous. So when I first got this, I scanned it with Malwarebytes, just precaution. That's not a guarantee, but you should be aware that when you buy phones from, I can't even call Doogee a smaller supplier anymore. They're a big supplier. They've got a big history now. But they do have there was one phone that came out in their history that was augmented income with advertising, which was interpreted by many as malware. So you should be aware, but that was like 2017 they did that. So there is always the risk. Just be aware that when you're buying a phone that's not a prominent Western brand as such, although they're all made in China, just be aware the firmware is sometimes not guaranteed to be as secure as such. Updates. When I first turned this phone on, when I first got it, it did an update, and it's done an update since, a security update, but there's no guarantee with these. The Blackview just never did them at all. That's just one of these things with brands like Motorola and Nokia and Apple and Samsung. You're going to get regular updates to their operating system for security reasons, but with the Impro phones, maybe there will be more updates. I'm not really sure. I think they're kind of worried about doing updates in case they brick the phones. But you know what? There's no reason to think there would be malware. I just keep an open mind. I'm always very cynical. And even Samsung don't have a great history in that regard. There is an instant that there's a flaw in their system that has just gone through from system to system that they've not addressed. But that's it. What's my overall opinion? I'm just absolutely very, very happy with this phone. The thermal imaging is just it's the key feature for me. It's the fact that you've got a good thermal imager built into your pocket means you can go and look for faulty electrical stuff just by pointing it in the direction, and you can see the thermal signatures of things and get indication of temperatures of things that might be overheating, and even see if I've just been placing my hand on the table, it leaves the imprint thermally. It's the highest resolution. Aside from this little dongle one, also from Infiray, it's the highest resolution thermal imaging camera. It's certainly the highest one I've ever had built into a phone. And the odd thing is that, you know, the Blackview cost about £350. This one cost about £300, but that will vary. Another thing worth mentioning is that when you buy these, I bought this from Doogee's official AliExpress site, but someone has mentioned that they got one and it was having consistent crashing problems. And one of the problems with buying these phones from these suppliers is that you don't get the same. You can't just pop into the Apple store, for instance, or look for an authorized service company. So I'm not sure. I've not had the chance to test this. Having said that, if my first thermal imaging phone was the Cat S61, which was a prominent brand, it was a branded bullet phone that they'd made for Cat. Very stylish, absolutely terrible firmware. And if you looked up online, people had really bad problems getting them serviced. They'd send their phone in and they'd get it back a long time later, if they'd even accept it back. Or they'd get a beat up, scuffed one that that's a working phone, it's what you'd expect. But it just been, even if they had a brand new phone, they'd get back sort of refurbished ones. So you should just know this, that there may not be as much backup, but that's what you're getting here. Is for £300 you're getting a decent phone that, you know, sometimes you just have to take that gamble and say, you know, it might be the fraction of a percent that has technical problems. I don't know what their backup support is. It'd be worth, if you know that, just let me know in the comments. But overall, I would say I'm going to have this for a while. It's a very impressive phone. It's doing the job. It's got a massively big high-resolution screen. It's got that thermal imaging. It's got the night vision. As far as things like cameras go, I don't really need 48 megapixel. Oh, real 48 megapixel, by the way, not that pixel bin that does appear to take the full resolution pictures as far as I can see. But the main thing I'm taking pictures of with this is electrical stuff before I start pulling it out, so I don't know where all the wires go. So as a working phone, I would say that the Doogee S98 Pro is the engineer's flagship phone right now. I reckon this is one of the best phones for technical purposes that you can get. And that's my review, a genuine, real use, paid for out my own pocket review.